Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios on a FAFO Friday here in Mississippi. Boy, it's been a burner the last few days. How about that rain that came through Jackson yesterday? I don't know where else it came through. Rankin County, Tri-County area, whatever you want to call it. Man, that was a gully washer, as they say. I was leaving core therapy out there, got back from Neshoba County, and decided I needed to go get an IV hydration drip, a banana bag, as I call it. Just replenished of everything I sweated out over the last few days. And, of course, because I have impeccable timing, it was 5 o'clock when I walked out of the building in Ridgeland, and I have to get all the way back to downtown Brandon. There is no shortcut. There is no back way to avoid traffic. There is none of that. You gotta ride the interstate, or you got to go across the spillway, and that's that. They got 43 closed, so you can't even do that anymore if you so chose to go down the trace and across 43. So I say, well, I'm a man. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get off at Lakeland Drive, and we'll go to Lakeland Drive. That'll be the best way. So I get off 55 at Lakeland. It's raining so bad you can't see. I mean, legitimately. And it took 20 minutes from the time I took the exit to take that left on the Lakeland there in front of St. Dominic's. Lakeland was backed up all the way down Lakeland Drive, I guess, past St. Dominic's. So I just got right back on 55. I was like, man, to hell with it. 55 was backed up all the way under Lakeland Drive through the Waterworks curve heading south there. I'm like, gosh dang. So I get right back off on Fortification there. Not Fortification, Woodrow Wilson. And I get on State Street, and I just kind of weasel my way through. And then they got part of State Street going heading south down by the old Baptist Church, First Baptist Church of Jackson. They got that closed down to one lane on the other side of High Street there, or somewhere in there. So I ended up taking some back roads because I know all the back roads because I am from Jackson, Mississippi, and I like back road riding, or I don't know if you can technically call those back roads, but they're the other roads. They're the alternative routes. Finally, like The Rock returning to WWE, finally, the Clay made it back to Rankin County. And I just rode Highway 80 from Pearl all the way back to downtown Brandon. And, man, it was pouring down. But I tell you what, we are not in a drought. I can confirm we are not in a drought in Mississippi. It was a very typical July, was it not? Rain and a lot of it. Rain and heat. Rain and heat. The only time it's actually cooled down after a rain this month that I recall was, what was it, Fred Shanks, Saturday when we rode up to Neshoba County. It poured down as soon as we got there. And it actually stayed cool and an overcast for the rest of our trip up there that day. So that was pretty cool. And then that was the last of the quote-unquote cold front. And it is a hot son of a gun out there, but it's even hotter on this radio show this morning. I want to thank Chip Matthews and Andrew Gosser for filling in for me for a couple days. It wasn't a last-minute trip. I've had it planned since last year. What was last minute was we wanted to get there early enough to hear people speak that were speaking early. It feels like the speaking was earlier this year because traditionally we've had time to get there after the show. But Andy Gibson was speaking at 10:20 Wednesday morning, and we didn't want to miss Andy at the fair. I mean, look, the Andy Gibson character is going to fit right in. I'm not calling Andy a character, but he's a character of sorts. I'm not saying he's fake, though. I mean, he's authentic. But, that thing he does is going to fit in real good there. And I wanted to see it, and it was worth it. He was up on stage, and he said he's throwing his hat in the ring like he did here in the studio. And his son was front row and caught the hat. Now, guys, that may not sound like much, but that's about a 20-foot chunk there for a cowboy hat to stay straight and not veer off one way or the other. I was impressed is all I'm saying. It was a good look. It worked out. I even told Andy as much later on. I saw him over off by somebody's cabin and had to compliment him on his throw, and more so had to compliment his son on his catch. So good stuff there. Got to hear Andy speak. Got to hear pretty much about everybody speak, but Andy stuck out. I'd have liked to have heard Shad White. I hate he couldn't make it. I believe he's on guard duty right now. So got to love that. Got to love our state auditor. Doing his military duties. I think that speaks a lot for him. I think that will help him a lot when it comes election time if he chooses to pull the trigger and run for governor. Andy's still the only one that's officially in. So we shall see. It's going to be an interesting one. I know I've talked a lot about Neshoba the last week. If you follow me online, it's pretty much all my content has been about Neshoba. I hadn't done much Jackson stuff or anything else. I have made a few videos here and there. I'm actually uploading one right now. Last night, a repo man that hadn't even attached to a car yet in Jackson, of course in Jackson, because this stuff doesn't happen anywhere else. It just happens in Jackson. A repo man just randomly gets shot multiple times by Pookie and him. Some future rocket scientist, engineer, astronaut, outlaw. How are we ever going to get to Mars if all of our future astronauts keep ending up in prison? Or dead? How, I ask? How? They hadn't released their names yet, but I'll bet you $5 or lunch at one of these great sponsors that the perpetrators have no less than 4 vowels in their first names. I'm almost to the point now where I'm ready to just say that everybody with 4 or more vowels in their first name should be on a watch list. Guys, I just look at trends. They're just trends. Trends aren't racist. They're just statistics. It's like math. Math can't be racist. Trends aren't racist. I just look at trends. And as I'm sitting here, ready to hit load on this video for TikTok, got to make that money, bro. Got to make that money. Monkey branching. Got to make that money. Just figuring out the perfect hashtags for it. We got FAFO. We got hashtag JXNMS. We got hashtag for the culture. We got hashtag Democrat. We got to do hashtag Jackson, Mississippi, don't we? I mean, just in case they didn't know. And as we're sitting here doing this, we just got another breaking news. Let me hit this last hashtag, Clay Edwards Show. Should we start doing hashtag Horns Jackson yet? Like we had Chalkways Jackson every time something bad happened? No, we're not going to do that yet. I'm kidding around. We're still going to give John time to find the restroom. All right, we just hit load on that. So let's make a couple $1 million today on my TikTok. Pulling the curtain back for y'all this morning. All right, here's the breaking news. Guys, there's been a homicide in Jackson at, where do y'all think it happened at? Comments. People watching on the live stream, by the way, we are streaming live at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. Commenters, we ain't got no comments yet this morning. Where do y'all think the recent homicide happened at? Well, you know what? I'll tell you. A gas station. That's right. That's right. A Jackson gas station, another homicide. Man, with this hot weather, there was a chance that Jackson was going to finish with less than 100 homicides this year. But I'm beginning to think, I haven't checked the numbers lately, but man, I've gotten a lot of notifications on my phone the last couple of days about homicides in Jackson. Now, one of them was really tragic. A domestic guy shot his estranged wife like 7 times. Yep, man, it's a shell right there. Is that next to Bat Furniture? No, that's the one on Highway 18. That's the old one by Mississippi Music. Oh, yeah, that's that really bad part of Jackson. That's that southwest Jackson over there by the Metro. It's right across the street from the old Mazio's Pizza. that Shell station there. I mean, look, man, you stop at a Jackson gas station, you're taking your life into your own hands. I don't know why I'm still having to tell you all this in 2025. Don't stop at Jackson gas stations unless you're an outlaw, engineer, astronaut, or future rocket scientist, of course. Y'all all keep it at Jackson gas stations. We do not want you in any other Rankin or Madison County gas stations. And a lot of y'all from Canton, we recommend that you start using Jackson gas stations. You know, let's make Canton great again. Y'all start using Jackson gas stations, and we'll do our best to keep future rocket scientists, engineers, outlaw astronauts out of Rankin County gas stations. My goodness. Let's see what the murder count is in Jackson real quick. And we actually got some serious stuff to talk about today. Not that murder at gas stations ain't serious, but it's by a bunch of people that I have a hard time taking serious. And I'll tell you why here in just a second. If you're new here, this is the most incendiary show in all of America. And you're getting a fine understanding as to why I call it the most incendiary show in America. Some people say I'm even too right-wing. I don't consider myself right-wing. I don't consider myself left-wing. I just consider myself real. This is the realest show in America. No punches pulled. We tell it like it is. I learned from the best, Kim Wade. Now, the WLBT tracker, which they're known to skew very left, and they're going to do all they can to make Jacksonians look like the best people on earth. You know, instead of calling out the problem and helping find a hashtag positive solution. They got it at 43, but it feels like it's been at 43 for a minute now. Maybe it ain't been updated over the last weekend, because there's been several over the last weekend. Yeah. Let's see here. It's minus 43% from last year. So they do have the way the circumstances categorized now as blunt force trauma, shooting, stabbing, and of course unknown. Gosh dang, man. Let's see how many blunt force trauma homicides we had. One. One little red dot. Let's see how many shootings we had. Oh, yeah, there we go. It doesn't necessarily give you the number, but it shows you all the red dots. That's a lot. Let's see what stabbings. 1. So what we learned this morning, what about unknown? 1. So what we learned this morning is don't take a knife to a gunfight, because Jacksonians will shoot your ass. All right, let's take a break this morning, come back, reset. I want to talk about Barry Lowery, the man who went viral last week for holding up a sign that said F Sean Tyndall and all of this stuff, multiple signs. He'd had it out for Sean Tyndall, claims that the Department of Public Service, DPS, police, law enforcement, FBI, CIA, DEA, and everybody else were out to get him, had his phone tapped, the whole 9 yards. We're going to dive into, and I want to be respectful of Lowery. I do, because I think it's obvious he had a mental break. But what caused that mental break? I mean, because by all accounts, I've talked to several people that knew him, and he was a very likable guy. Some say they hadn't talked to him in a while, and of course people can change, times can change, things happen. And I talked to a buddy of mine who has talked to him recently enough for his PlayStation to have been in the backseat of his car when this standoff happened. And if y'all aren't familiar, Barry allegedly unalived himself after a standoff with police the other day out in Raymond. Now, I believe that's what happened. I'm not a conspiracy theorist to the point that I think that the police finished off the job. I'm not remotely suggesting that. So just allegedly until it's confirmed, I guess. But whatever. You know, there's a lot of people who think that that's what happened because of his grievances with the Highway Patrol and the Department of Public Safety and stuff. And I can assure you that kind of stuff does not happen. I know y'all want it to. But it doesn't. Anyway, I want to peel the onion back and kind of tell you a few of the things that Barry Lowery thought was happening and how that can drive a man insane and push them to this. This is the Clay Edwards Show. It is a FIFO Friday. I'm back live in the studio after a couple of days off here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. I don't want to go to commercial break. That's why I'm pausing here. That's why I'm dragging my feet. We're already 5 minutes over. We got to. Let's keep the train rolling down the tracks. When we come back, y'all don't go anywhere. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. My self-esteem needs it. Help me out. Help me out on a Friday. Give me a little gift. Hit that share button wherever you're watching this right now. Drop a comment. Hit the like. Make me feel better about it. Makes me feel prettier when you hit the like button. I'm like a female that's a mid-6 but looks good in a bikini. I'm posting a picture for likes. My self-esteem needs it. That's me right now. My self-esteem needs it. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Tell me I'm pretty. Feed me tacos. We'll be right back. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. Glad to be here with you on a Friday morning. What are you guys doing for lunch today? Ring ding 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 dong. What is for lunch today? Man, how about we talk about two places real quick? McBee's, right there, Lake Harbor Drive, buzzing the red since 1982 or 83 for a long time. It's one of the last great dive bars in our area. It's one of the last of the Mohicans. It's dang near all original in there. Except the bar's been redone and they added a big patio, but the essence of the place is still there. All wood. Got the windows all the way around it. Got a great staff. Phenomenal staff. I'll put McBee's staff up against anybody's. They got a phenomenal staff at McBee's. Good folks. You know, I'm not just saying this because obviously the people who own the businesses that sponsor this station are smart people because they know that this station has a huge audience of right-wing, left-wing, independents. You know, people who care, people who understand the community, and people who understand it takes money being kept in the community and supporting small business. Those are the listeners of WYAB. We don't all agree on everything. Because people advertise on this station don't mean that they agree with what Clay Edwards says on any level. But they know that Clay Edwards and Kim Wade and all the other hosts here have audiences of people that listen because they want to be informed. And because they appreciate that, they go out and they support these sponsors. And that's great. Anyway, I digress. But they all have great staffs, and that's no accident. It really isn't. Like all of these businesses we do business with, especially the restaurants, all have great staffs. As I sit here and think about it. Anyway, maybe they treat me special. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. They all have great staffs. But Swing by McBee's today is Mississippi raised fried catfish day on the blue plate. They ain't sneaking nothing past McBee's. Michael Wimberly and his team know that they serve Mississippi raised catfish. Just like they serve Mississippi raised Gulf of America shrimp. I don't know if that's technically Mississippi in the Gulf there, but you know what I mean. It comes from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. It passed the secret test that was done a few months ago. And McBee's was one of only 14 restaurants in the area that passed that test. So I said we were going to talk about a couple restaurants. We're going to keep it to McBee's, this one, and then we'll tell you about Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, and their fried fish here in a little bit. And there's some of their other great offerings. Swing by McBee's today. Grab the fried catfish. If that's not your thing, you can also substitute that for country fried steak, fried or grilled chicken breast, or I believe hamburger steak too, if my memory serves me correct. They have a few fixed blue plates every day. Try their fried okra. It is my favorite fried okra in all of central Mississippi. And we got some great fried okra sponsors around here, so that's saying something. And look, if fried fish and all that ain't your thing, I've been eating the club sandwich a good bit lately. I'll go down swinging. I think that McBee's has got the best club sandwich. And you guys at that took me up on my offer to go try it have come back and said the same thing. Try the McBee's Club. See them today. Tell them Clay sent you. All right, man. We're live in the Men's Health, and gosh dang it, I'm going to quit running the commercials during the breaks on the internet. I do it every single time, and it causes that dang echo. I apologize to everybody. I've tried to make sure that the sponsors get their love during the commercial breaks on the internet, and so y'all don't have nothing to listen to. And I keep forgetting to pull that channel down. I'm about to cut it off so it never happens again. I was telling everybody about McBee's and the Blue Plate special today. It's Mississippi-raised catfish. Not China, not Vietnamese, Mississippi-raised catfish. Just like their shrimp. Gulf of America-raised shrimp. They were one of only 14 restaurants in central Mississippi to pass the secret test these people did a few months ago to see where the shrimp was coming from and whatever test they do to verify that. So you don't have to worry about McBee's selling you something, false advertising. If it says Mississippi raised, it's Mississippi raised. If it says Gulf of America, it's Gulf of America. Swing by McBee's. They got one of the best staffs in the business. They got one of the best club sandwiches in town. If fried catfish isn't your thing, try the country fried steak, the fried or grilled chicken, the red beans and rice, the club. I could go on and on and on. McBee's, buzzing the res since 1982. I apologize for that. I'm very frustrated at myself right now for screwing that up. I know. Y'all don't have to text me anymore. I appreciate it. I know you're hearing two things. I do appreciate it. All right, man, let's jump into it, shall we? Barry Lowery. Let me get my links and my notes and all pulled up here real quick. Barry Lowery had a standoff with the police the other day, and he unalived himself. Was the end of it. Happened out in Raymond, I believe. You know, it was in Hinds County, so it could have been out there between Terry and Raymond, just kind of depending on what you call that area there. I'm getting my links and all pulled up here. I'm a professional. I will rebound from my mistake there. I do want to play, if there's some video here, I do want to play the video from WLBT. Let me get it queued up here real quick. And we're going to rock and roll with this morning. I think this is an important conversation to have. You know, guys, mental health is a problem in Mississippi, and we do not do enough to address mental health issues in Mississippi, which leads to all sorts of things because people can't get the help they need. So we're going to discuss this in multiple parts here, and we're already up for a break, but we're going to play this video, and then we will come back from a break. I'm not going to do that to y'all this morning. But this is multiple things here. There had been a court-ordered, not arrest, so to say, of Barry, but what do they call it? A civil commitment. They were going to have him picked up and have him committed over his mental health and get an evaluation done. And that's when he took off and the standoff began. And this is in the wake of him going viral last week for his signs with all the foul language on them, saying F Sean Tindell, the DPS commissioner. And I like Sean Tindell. He's been very good to me over the years. I mean, he just treated me well. He's never done nothing for me. He's not done me any favors or nothing like that. He just treated me with respect, and I like the job he's doing. And I know that, yeah, he's been the point of contention for some folks around here, and, you know, that's their personal business, and I'll stay out of that. But he's been good to me, and I treat people how they treat me. You know what I mean? I think every relationship I have is on a person-to-person basis. I don't care what you did to that other person. I hate it. I hate that happen. But there's two sides to every story is the way I look at it, and your enemy ain't necessarily my enemy. I try to hope people look at me like that. You know, just because somebody else over here don't like Clay doesn't mean you have to not like me. Let me earn your friendship or your respect on the merits of me, not the other. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about this morning. I don't want to try to unpack it too much too soon. Let's go to WLBT. The title of this is Man Dies of Self-Inflicted Gunshot Wound After Hours-Long Standoff in Raymond. This is about Barry Lowery.
News we have been following all day after nearly 6 hours of standoff in Raymond has come to an end, and the suspect is dead. A SWAT team was stationed.
Y'all got to bear with me 1 second. Forgot to push it over here to the on line, running my mouth. This is days like this where a producer would be a great thing to have, but your boy can't afford a producer, so we ain't getting a producer. Keep it that. If I'm paying for a producer, I'm going to start doing this show from my house and let them just run the board here for me while I'm at the house. Just hit a button here and there and call it a day. Taking forever to pull up. All right, there we go. Let's start this over. I apologize for the technical issues, but it is what it is.
Breaking news we have been following all day after nearly 6 hours of standoff in Raymond has come to an end, and the suspect is dead. A SWAT team was staged in Raymond along Bill Downing Road, pleading with a man to surrender himself to police. 3 Inside's Chris Fields has been following this developing story all day. He has the very latest.
Well, there are still more questions than answers when it comes to this deadly situation. But I can tell you that after hours of negotiating with the man police believe to be armed and dangerous, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. As they pled for the suspect to surrender himself to the authorities, dozens of SWAT team members had boots on the ground, charging around the home he was in. We've learned that the suspect, whose name has yet to be released, was a 52-year-old white man.
We knew that we had an active minimus signed by a judge for this individual to be committed for mental health treatment at a local hospital or treatment center.
But Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones says that's when deputies attempted to stop the man in the traffic stop.
He refused to yield to the deputies' blue lights and sirens. They followed this individual at approximately 10 to 15 miles per hour to this particular location here in the 3600 block of Bill Downing Road.
That's when the sheriff posted on Facebook earlier Tuesday that a SWAT team had been activated to the home we now know that was not his. No one was inside the home, and there is no report of any injuries. With the help of assisting agencies such as Clinton Police, Hinds County, and state troopers, they were able to find the suspect, who is now dead.
The coroner has been notified and has been summoned to the scene. MBI is here, and they are conducting a death investigation.
Now, at this time, MBI and the Hinds County Sheriff's Office are investigating this incident. Reporting in Hinds County, I'm Chris Fields.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to play the other part of this, which is about the civil commitment side of it. And I'm going to tell you some things that I know about Barry Lowery from a personal friend, of some of the things that Barry thought was going on or was saying was going on or was possibly going on. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, I don't think everything is made up in someone's head. But then again, I can make a fine example of somebody who's sitting out in jail right now for stalking and harassing me and others, that it is all made up in their head. So I can contradict myself right there. Let's take a break, come back, continue to unpack this a little bit. This is the Clay Edwards Show. It's a FAFO Friday. And before the end of the show today, we're going to talk about this Sydney Sweeney stuff. The left is triggered over a hot white girl in a blue jean commercial. I mean, triggered, invoking Nazisms and all kind of stuff. I mean, a hot chick, hot white girl summer just broke the internet and the left. I want to talk about that too to kind of end the show on a high note today before we get out of here for the weekend. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. No echo this time. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. I was going to tell you about Burgers Blues Barbecue. I'm going to do that real quick. Burgers Blues Barbecue, all 3 great locations, Madison, downtown Brandon, and the newest location, and I think the coolest of the 3, Dogwood at Flowwood, or Flowwood at Dogwood, however you want to say that. Swing by today for lunch. Check out the great Blue Plate specials. It's a fried catfish Friday. They also have hamburger steak available every day as an option. And, of course, red beans and rice available every day as an option. And their red beans and rice is really good. It's kind of got a sweet flavor to it. Tastes like no other red beans and rice I've ever had. I was a little sus about it at first, but it grew on me really quick. And now it's one of my favorite red beans and rices out there. It's not spicy, but it's sweet. Really unique. Give it a try today. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. And hey, look, at the end of the day, it's called Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. Don't sleep on the burgers. I did for a long time. I was like, I can cook a good burger. Then one day I tried the bacon jam smash burger, and I haven't been able to get the weight off since. I'm kidding. I'm just saying it's that good. Try the bacon jam smash or any of the other great hamburgers there at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. And don't sleep on the Nashville hot smoked wings either. They're my personal favorite, but they have plenty of other flavors available for you as well. Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, and B3 Catering. Need your event catered? 5 to 5,000 people? They got you covered. Need a couple food trucks for your big event? They got you covered. B3catering.com or burgersblues.com. That's Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. Great weekend to get some barbecue. Too hot to be grilling outside. Let them do it for you. Go pick it up. Get it delivered. One of the great delivery services available out there. All right. We're keeping it serious for the first little bit this morning. We're talking about Barry Lowery, the man who unalived himself after a standoff with police and after just a very tumultuous few years where he was convinced that law enforcement was out to get him, doing all sorts of stuff. Now, like I said, I have a friend that was close with Barry to the very end there, and this is one of my dearest friends. And I'm not going to mention his name, but he's one of my dearest friends who I have nothing but a bunch of respect for. I love him to death like a brother. We've been friends for 30 plus years. So I value his opinion on a lot of stuff. And, he's having a hard time, kind of wrapping his head around this. And I think part of him believes a lot of the stuff that Barry was saying. And it makes me believe it too, because I put so much respect into this man's word and what he says. And it definitely making me really drop my guard some and my preconceived notions and look at this from another angle. And that's why I'm talking about it this morning. If it wasn't for my friend believing what he believed, I probably wouldn't even talk about this today. So I'm using it as an opportunity to talk about mental health, men's mental health. And y'all know that's something I've been really passionate about. And we talk about that a lot. And it's one of the things I talk about with the testosterone. It will help that, but we're not going to turn this into a testosterone ad. I texted my boy last night and said, hey, man, just run back and kind of tell me a few of the things that was going on with Barry. And he tried calling me, but I was already taking my sleeping medicine, and I don't like talking after I've done that because I don't remember the conversations. So he shot me back a text, and he's like, man, it's too much. For 10 years, I know he did an interview with somebody at the news, which he did do an interview with WLBT the other day. I went by there, and we're going to get to all that. He says, I'm not sure if he told them about a lot, but they probably thought it was all fake, but I don't think it is. I think him going to the news got him killed. Like they called authorities. I know local law enforcement did talk to him last week also. So he didn't get into details there, but I'm going to kind of shoot from the hip here a little bit with what I remember some of the things he was saying. Apparently he used to be married to or dated a Supreme Court justice's daughter. I think it was Kitchens. And after that, apparently, allegedly, some information, some private stuff was found on a computer, and the judge didn't like it. And this is I'm throwing all this out as allegedlys here because I'm trying to tell you what this guy's saying and how he believes all this started and his issues with law enforcement and why he thinks they were out to get him. And, so apparently there was some private stuff found on there. By the judge somehow saw it and didn't like it, and he sicked the system on to Barry. And Barry was convinced that they've had his phones tapped. I mean, I don't know why they would have his phones tapped. And that's the thing, I know a lot of law enforcement, and yes, there is a blue shield. But to think that a Democrat Supreme Court justice could pull the strings of conservative law enforcement throughout the state to mess with this one guy, man, it just isn't how it works. And I know a lot of y'all don't want to believe that. Y'all want to believe that the goon squad is all interconnected and that all they have to do is call one of the other goon squads inside another police department to go handle their business. And I'm not saying that they don't have friends and they can't make a phone call and maybe go put eyeballs on something. I'm not saying that they can't do favors, but it's just not this intertwined octopus style network that y'all think it is. And I'm going to be honest, just knowing a lot of people who have, done methamphetamines and stuff, and maybe just even Adderall. Adderall can make you very paranoid, and methamphetamines make you very paranoid. And, some of the stuff I'm hearing that Barry believed, I don't think he was doing illegal drugs. I'm just making an example. Amphetamines, and Adderall is an amphetamine. It makes me wonder, was he taking Adderall? Was he getting enough sleep? And because when you start thinking the world is out to get you and you're paranoid schizophrenic and stuff of that nature, you start believing this stuff. I mean, he believed that law enforcement was riding by his house and shooting guns to mess with him. He got cameras everywhere. And, maybe I just have a blind bias and I can't see it. But I don't think random law enforcement are going to take a chance of losing their jobs and going to jail to pick on a guy because he used to be married to a Supreme Court justice's daughter or something like that. And maybe they found some naughty videos online and wants revenge. That's a line too far for me to wrap my head around. I mean, that's some what's a good analogy there? I mean, that's some Boss Hogg, Duke Boys type nonsense. I just, that's a bit too much for me. I mean, so let me read a few of the comments here. Gatorman on YouTube says, Clay, you never know, brother. Look at the Karen Reed case with the MSP. Them and the local police were covering for each other. Man, I didn't follow the Karen Reed thing. That's what Sean did. Lindsay did. Patrice says there's no Democrats nor Republicans at the top. It's all lies versus truth and the power versus the powerless. Larry says, I lived down the road from him on Old Port Gibson, and he was selling off everything he owned. Cedric Jenkins says Democratic politicians and Republican politicians fight in public, but their money runs in the same circles. Robin says red flag law can be used to target anybody. Check it out. Yeah, they can, but all right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Guys, I know I'm kind of all over the place this morning with this, but it's kind of a touchy topic. So when we come back at the top of the hour, because we're pretty much out of time till 8:07, when we come back from the top of the hour, we're going to get into the second part of this, which is the mental, what do they call it? The civil commitment side of this, because they went to have him civilly committed. And we're going to talk about that and kind of how that works. And I'm going to read your comments and stuff. Like I said, I just think that what happened here was a guy that just got off. It maybe did start off with the judge messing with him and having some people mess with him. And then I heard that it cost him some jobs. Like he would get a job and then the judge would mess with him and call him, have him fired or get him fired and whatnot. Because he was a cop at one time. Again, that's just like all it takes is a little bit to a man to think it's him versus the system. And it was inevitable that it ended like this, right? Like when he was out there holding those signs, wearing a bulletproof vest, like it was inevitable that it ended like this. It's sad, man. It really is. Robin, I like your red flag comment here. The red flag stuff is serious. But I don't think they were doing a red flag on him. They weren't taking his guns. I think they were having him committed. But I'm going to read into it in live time here. I could be wrong. I did not read the story yet. I like saving stuff like this to do it live for the first time because I like my like my reaction to be authentic. So I don't always read everything before I discuss it. Some people may say that sounds unprofessional, but that's not why I do it. I do it because I want to be authentic and not have time to tweak my feelings to go a certain way or to sound a certain way. All right. Y'all hang tight. Let me read this one comment real quick. James on X says, you're saying they wanted to have him committed. Who is they? Who are these people that wanted this man committed, catching the tail end of this? We're going to find that out, James. I think that's a good question. Who wanted to have him committed? Was it the family? Because it takes a couple family members, I thought. That was always my understanding, is it takes 2 family members to have somebody committed. But we're going to dive into that. And we're going to see who wanted to have him committed. Because if it was his family and not random law enforcement, then I think that speaks volumes to how his family felt about his mental health condition. And I want to be real delicate about this. And I'm not always the most sensitive or the most delicate, about people who end up in these situations and they unalive themselves. But I just know too many people that knew this guy and speak highly of him on a personal level that it really makes me, kind of want to peel the onion back and see what his mental state was like and kind of what drove him to doing this. And that's why I'm talking about this morning. I'm going to keep it very respectful. We're not going to throw dirt on this guy's casket before he's in the ground. All right, y'all stay tuned. I'll be right back. Get everything together for the next hour. All right, guys, we got about a minute here before we have to take our top of the hour break. I was terrible with time management this morning on the segments, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 7 minutes, and we're going to get into the civil commitment side of this. Who was trying to have Barry Lowery committed? Was it the family? Was it law enforcement? After his episode last week with holding up the signs about SEAN TINDELL, and what drove him to off the deep end, to thinking that no life at all was better than the life he had. And that is one of the really sad things about people who unalive themselves, is there's no problem you can't overcome except the one you're about to cause yourself. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. It is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live from the plush, highly secure compound of WYAB. Maximum security compound of WYAB. Out here in Florida, Mississippi at the Cotton Exchange Plaza. Streaming worldwide at WYAB.com. As you can listen to all of our shows live right there in live time. There's no playback button. There's no podcast there. It is live time. Whatever's on WYAB is at WYAB.com on the Listen Live button. We're streaming in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, X, and YouTube. We're streaming in stunning HD at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. You can follow me on social media at Save JXN on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. That about covers it. All right, this segment. It's Friday, guys. It's from out of liquor store. Get you a bottle of bourbon. Been on a bourbon kick lately. I think you should too. They've got a bourbon available at 042 Wine and Spirits there. It's a handcrafted, private barrel, small batch. I mean, it's everything you want. It's called Penelope Project X. It's the only one in Mississippi. There's not another one like it. Let me tell you the details real quick. We're going to keep this short and sweet. I had Brad, the owner of the place, send this over to me. Make sure I didn't goof it. And here we go here. And the bottle looks really cool. If you're like a bottle connoisseur, you like to collect cool liquor bottles, the bottle alone is awesome. It's black. It looks like a wine bottle. It's black The label's black, and the writing is just in a normal white font. It looks very basic, but very cool at the same time. I'm a minimalist, and I love the bottle. It looks like like if Acme, the generic brand Acme and all the cartoons, if they made a wine bottle, this would be it, and I love it. Anyway, it says Penelope Project X. All right, now you liquor connoisseurs, this should be, I'm about to speak y'all's language, so if I butcher some of these words, I apologize. Oloroso Sherry Finish, 108 proof, hand selected by the staff and owners at 042 Wine and Spirits. It's even got their name on the bottle, which is super cool. And it says that, selected by 042 Wine and Spirits staff. So if you like collecting bottles with a local flair, like the name of your favorite liquor store on the bottle, you need to go pick this up. It's only $70. It's the only one of its kind in the state of Mississippi. It's smooth, dry fruit, and sherry on the front end of the pour with a light spice note back end. See how much smarter I sounded just saying that? Come by, try a pour anytime. That's right, you can get a little free sample before you commit to it. Right there at 042 Wine and Spirits. It's a limited edition. When it's gone, it's gone. That's a Penelope Project X at 042 Wine and Spirits. Right there next to Sonny's Barbecue, Highway 80, 042 Brandon. Right over there by Crossgates. Tell them Clay sent you. And look, they have plenty of other stuff. This is just their private barrel of the week, of their current private barrel. I did buy a bottle myself. They did not give me a bottle. I bought a bottle at regular price, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I've been sipping on this thing. It is a fine, fine bourbon. But I have a problem. I just like to pour mine on Sprite and some ice. I like to mix mine. And I'm told that that's frowned upon amongst high-end bourbon drinkers. Like, Clay, you're ruining it by mixing it with something. Sorry. That's just the way if I want to shoot it, I'll just shoot Fireball. Anyway, swing by. See them today. Tell them I sent you. All right, man, let's jump back into it. We're in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness in Mississippi Studios. The Guns and Gear text line, I hadn't mentioned it today, but it's 769-241-1944. We do have a caller on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Write this number down if y'all want to call in at 601-879-0002. Hey, caller, you're on there.
Write this number down if y'all want to call in at 601-879-0002.
Yeah, I have a bad connection, so I hope you can hear me. It's hard for me to hear you. But anyway, just wanted to bring this issue up again for the people of Raymond. The Soul Solar Project is going to be voted on by the Public Service Commission on the 12th of August, and we're back where we started. These guys are trying to seek a permit to begin the construction because what they're trying to do is get in ahead of the deadline that the Trump administration has established for the tax subsidy funding of these types of projects. So we're trying to kill it, and this is as classic as it gets. You got 3,000 citizens saying, we don't want it. You got 7 landowners that want to drop it in the middle of our homes and families where we've been, some of us, for almost 100 years out here. And we have the county supervisor bragging that she's riding around with the primary landowner on this project as if that's a good thing. And she won't even take the time of day to talk to the 3,000 people that signed the We Don't Want It petition. But we need people to get activated again. We need to say no to a Biden-subsidized program. The money, this is what I don't understand about some of these people and how ignorant they are and how short-sighted they are. Any money that we could possibly make from this, from a tax base, will be consumed as part of the debt that this country takes on in the future for these subsidies. It's, again, one of the things that we need to start saying, when do our representatives listen to the people? Why would a public service commissioner vote yes on something when 3,000 people say no? And the other piece to this I think we need to look at is the governor and his crew. I got it. They're all about development, and I'm all with them. But they need to get a handle on the solar farm issue. If a company wants to come in here and put in a solar farm, I want them to tell us how that solar farm is going to lower the electrical grid costs and prices to Mississippi consumers. Because the fact is it doesn't. And you can't find a single example anywhere in this country. I would challenge anyone to find an example in this country where a major solar farm was put in and where the local population could say our electrical costs went down. But I can show you a list of one after the other of solar farms, solar energy, boondoggles that have ended up costing the citizens of a state money and the cost of electricity actually going up. And even if it did temporarily lower costs, it's not going to because of the AI technology. Everybody knows that the drive for the solar energy and a lot of our new energy requirements is being driven by the technology and what it's going to require to use it. Well, I got news for you. If that's going to zero out any possible gain this type of thing could make for us, it's going to suck it right out of the net. So anyway, that's all I got for you, and I appreciate you letting me talk. Have a good day.
Yeah, brother. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm really disappointed in what's going on out there in Raymond, and I'm really disappointed in DeKeither Stamps. If he's ignoring the will of the people, and I've always thought DeKeither's a good man. I ran into him the other day and talked to him for a minute up there at Neshoba County. And if he is not fighting for the people that don't want this, then that's very, very disappointing. DeKeither, and I've always been a DeKeither guy, but this is extremely disappointing if he is going against the will of the people on this. You know, I'll reach out to him and ask him if he wants to come on the show and defend this. You know, so. We'll go from there with that, but keep solar out of our communities. Solar's the devil. Nobody's ever been able to show me how it benefits a damn thing. Build a nuclear power plant and be done with all this nonsense. We need as much nuclear power as we can get in America. This solar nonsense is ridiculous. The amount of space it takes up, for the little bit of reward you get from it, it cannot be worth it. Cannot be. If somebody wants to put a bunch of solar shingles on their house, then by all means, put a bunch of solar shingles on your house. Because they do have those now. They're pretty cool. If they work. You know, I mean, we had another roofing company on this radio show one time, and they brought in one of those solar shingles. And it was pretty cool. You know, that's your thing. You want to... If that seems cost efficient to you, to put a bunch of solar shingles on your roof, and you hope to recoup that money over the years with your electric bill, then by all means, it's your money, it's your house, your prerogative. But people who live out in these rural communities, and let's just be honest, Raymond ain't that rural. It's pretty close to Jackson. It's pretty close to Clinton. Going out there and putting thousands of acres worth of looks like parking garages, like single-story parking covers. These solar farms, they look terrible. I don't like it. I don't like it. It just reeks of government corruption. Like I've always said, and I didn't have no intentions on jumping down this rabbit hole today. I think all this environmental crap, all of this solar power, electric vehicle. I love electric vehicles. They're fun as hell to drive. If I ever own one, it'll be because they fly. It'll have nothing to do with me wanting to save an environment. I ain't going to live long enough to care about the environment. Oh, truth bomb. It's a grift. It's a hustle. It's a way to make money. That's all this is. Big oil is so powerful that it's more powerful than any president. It's more powerful than any government. It's more powerful than the Congress. All of that. Big oil is the most powerful industry on earth. Period. It makes the military industrial complex look like a mom and pop store in BFE, Mississippi. Nothing's more powerful than big oil. That is one of the facts that you learn in Landman about big oil. And I'm not just quoting a fictional TV show here. I'm being dead serious. Big oil could start any war it wants to start tomorrow. And the military-industrial complex will say, yes, Daddy. So the governments have been out to defang big oil for a while. And that's where the push for electric, in my opinion, the push for electric vehicles and the push for solar power and all this, is to defang big oil. It's a way to make a new class of billionaires through government subsidies. I mean, look at Elon, for example. And I'm not saying it's all a bad thing, but it doesn't have to be at the cost of going after big oil and making our gas prices high as hell and all of this stuff. I can go on and on. It's not something I'm the most educated about, but it is something I am passionate about, because $2.50, $2.60, $2.70, $3 a gallon adds up. But I will say this real quick before I take a break. Talking about electric vehicles, my buddy Michael bought one of those new Hummers, the electric Hummers, and I drove it the other day. We went to lunch, and I was his chauffeur. And we were on one of the back roads between Gluckstadt and Livingston, and he said, get on it. Son, we almost ended up in a tree. I got on it, and it was like a rocket ship taking off. It's over 1,000 horsepower, all-wheel drive. When I say it ripped the asphalt up, it hooked so hard it ripped the asphalt. I mean, I had to hold it with everything I had. I felt like a top fuel drag racer. It's the most fun I've ever had driving a vehicle. My Raptor felt like a Pinto when I got back in it. I think electric vehicles are cool. As far as the power, I just think most of them are ugly is the problem. This H3 ain't ugly, or whatever it is. This Hummer EV, it ain't ugly. It's fine. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to pick back up the Barry Lowery story where we left off, talking about civil commitments and whatnot. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. After a slight detour off topic in that last segment there, I enjoyed that nonetheless. We're going to get back on it here after this quick reminder to get out to El Patrio Mexican Grill and Cantina this weekend for all of your favorite authentic Mexican dishes. They got frozen drinks on tap. That's right, frozen margaritas, multiple flavors, by the way. Check them out. Get an ice-cold goblet of your favorite draft beer. There's nothing better than an ice-cold frozen goblet mug. That's what I call them. The big old fish bowls, a goblet, goblet, whatever it is. Big old frozen mug. The big one, the grande. Give me the grande. And some fajitas and some chips and salsa. Communion with friends. Hanging out at the loud Mexican restaurant. I just love a Mexican restaurant, man. It's like, it's funny. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I don't know how it happened. I kind of remember when it happened, but I don't really know how it happened. Maybe it's because it's good and affordable. I think that at the end of the day, Mexican restaurants are consistent. They're very consistent. You get your food fast, for the most part. They can handle a big group of people without reservations. It's affordable. It's good. But somehow or the other, and I'll fight over this. I truly believe that Mexican restaurants are Southern culture. That Mexican restaurants are authentic Mississippi. I think that we support Mexican restaurants more than any other style of food. I would be willing to bet that more Mexican dishes are served in this state today than fried catfish dishes will be on Catfish Friday. Now, I don't know if you could ever quantify that, ever prove that, or whatever, but I'd be willing to bet that more Mexican dishes will be served today than catfish dishes. And it's a Fish Friday. That's the thing on Fridays. I bet more tacos and fajitas and enchiladas are served today than catfish. Mississippi loves Mexican food. There ain't a community in this state that doesn't have a Mexican restaurant. Maybe it's in an old abandoned Wendy's. Maybe it's in a strip mall like the one below me here at WYAB out here in Flora. Maybe it's a super nice one like the Flowwood location of El Potrillo. Maybe it's in a strip mall like the El Potrillo in Crossgates. Very fine venue. I've seen them in gas stations. But we love our Mexican food in Mississippi. ICE agents. I support y'all. I love y'all. But leave my homies alone at the local cantina. Please, sir. I'm kidding around a little bit. But yeah, leave him alone. Leave him alone. I need look, man. Look, dog. Go to the chicken plants if you got to do something. But come on, the restaurants. The restaurants. I mean, can't we get Pookie out of here first? Anyway, I'm kidding. Get out to El Potrillo this weekend. Enjoy authentic Mississippi dishes at their finest. I was thinking, they advertise this authentic Mexican. Like, you know what? It's really big. It's authentic Mississippi. And I mean that as a compliment. Because I think that Mexican food, I bet you more Mexican food gets eaten than fried chicken or fried fish today, on average. All right. Swing by, see them. Tell them Clay sent you. Good folks over there at El Potrillo. Flowwood at Dogwood or Crossgates right there next to Bop's Frozen Custard right there in front of Crossgates Subdivision on 80. Let's jump into this part. Let's pick this Barry Lowery stuff back up here because we're going to be done with this after this segment. And I want to get into some other topics to end the week. This is about the civil commitment stuff. Like, who was trying to have Barry committed? Why was he having to go to Hinds Behavioral to be evaluated? And then who signed off on him being committed? There's lots of questions that I don't think we have the answers for, unfortunately. But here's WLBT.
At the center of an hours-long standoff in Raymond yesterday, authorities had tried to serve him a court order to be committed for mental health treatment. Hinds County's interim coroner identifies him as 52-year-old Richard Barry Lowery of Raymond. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot. 3 News Side's Courtney Jackson has background on Lowery and the process of civil commitment.
We do have some insight into Barry Lowery's mindset in the days leading up to Tuesday's standoff. He came by the WLBT studios 1 week prior, armed with what he called evidence that the government, including law enforcement, was monitoring him 24/7, including his calls. Lowery had also been holding a sign of protest outside the DPS headquarters, even leaving us a voicemail.
My name's Barry Lowery. We spoke yesterday.
With new concerns. It brings up questions about what the process for civil commitment is in Mississippi. The Department of Mental Health has a step-by-step guide on its website. Representative Sam Creekmore explains the process changed just over a year ago.
Pre-screening affidavit, which was third in the process, we moved it to number 1.
He says the idea behind that is simple.
With the screening going first, it allows the professionals to make an evaluation and maybe divert this person to another place, maybe an outpatient, or just get them to the health aid quicker without having to go through a lot of that process. So that was the thinking behind it.
Chancery Clerk's office is where paperwork would be filed if the commitment process is deemed necessary. Tom Miles is Chancery Clerk of Scott County.
Burden of proof is that if the person is a danger to themselves or a danger to someone else or society as a whole.
He explains that while family members are the ones most commonly requesting a commitment, it doesn't have to be a relative.
Someone just off the street is just not able to go file a commitment on someone.
But it needs to be someone who can testify to the mental
I got a couple people in mind I'd like to go file one on.
State of the individual. Miles also notes that the commitment process is the same, whether the individual agrees they need help or not. Courtney Ann Jackson, 3 on your side.
And to read the full statement from the Department of Public Safety, go to...
All right, so that's the end of that. So my question would be, and I do not have this answer, is who got him caught up in the system? Who filed the civil commitment for him to ever even have to go get the evaluation to begin with? Was it because of him being out there with that sign? I doubt it. That's First Amendment stuff there. They can't commit you over your First Amendment. Was it law enforcement that signed off on it? Was it an ex? Was former Supreme Court Justice Kitchens involved in this still? I don't know. Lots of questions. And I've got some texts, and I'm a little weary about putting rumors out there, especially like this. But let's read a few of your texts on the Guns and Gear text line. And I see a bunch of comments. This Cedric Jenkins says the timing is questionable. It is. It's a bad look, but you could tell he was a man just from the outside looking in here. He was a man on the verge. Like it reeks of paranoid schizophrenia. Like I said, the Justin Fowler guy that I had to file charges on. This is big Justin Fowler energy here. And I hate even mentioning his names, like Beetlejuice. You say it too many times and he'll pop up. Or his fanboys will pop up. His mom will pop up. Next thing I know, I'll be dealing with them all weekend. But same energy. Absolutely the same energy. Just a mentally unwell individual who thinks the world is out to get them because they keep finding themselves in situations that they put themselves in. I don't know any other way to say it. If you think the cops are messing with you, have you sat back and asked yourself, do I continue to put myself in a situation for cops to mess with me? If you fly too close to the sun, you typically get burned. And it does look bad. It looks bad for all parties involved for this guy to end up having a standoff and unaliving himself. But let's just be honest. Is anybody surprised, given the way this has unfolded the last few weeks? I saw another crazy person supporting him the other day because of her grief with Tindell. And I was like, oh, Lord, that he don't want her support. Let's see here. Unknown texter says, chance records are a matter of public record. Anyone could go. I'm guessing there was a typo here somewhere. Anyone can go down there and see who filed the paperwork in Raymond. So yeah, we can find out. Somebody can go down there and Chancery Clerk, I guess what they were trying to say. Chancery Clerk records or public record. Yeah, I would be curious to know who filed the paperwork to have him committed. Like, was it a family member or was it law enforcement? If it's law enforcement doing it on their own, it's a bad look. But I don't know that I have a problem with it because he is clearly mentally unwell at the same time. So, like, two things can be right? It can be a bad look. The timing is terrible. The way this ended is terrible. But do I think there was some grand conspiracy to get this guy hemmed up in a standoff so he would do this? I do not. I do not. So I just got a text that mental commitments are sealed records and not public. So thank you, Tom. Let's run that back. Mental commitments are sealed records and are not available for public consumption. So, and that's probably for the best. Sans this particular situation. Because if somebody gets committed, they get out on a warpath. I don't know. I could think of a bunch of reasons why it would be a bad idea for that to be public information. And I'm glad you were listening this morning too, buddy. I was wondering. So somebody asked, Carrie asked, so where does Sean Tindell come into play though? I don't know that he does. Well, just in general, he's head of DPS, and Barry Lowery was convinced that DPS, which is over MBN and Highway Patrol and a Capitol Police and a bunch of state law enforcement agencies, and Barry was convinced that Sean wasn't calling off the dogs, that he wasn't doing enough to get these people to quit surveilling him. I don't know. I mean, maybe they were surveilling him because they were worried about his mental health, which was magnifying his mental health problems. I mean, here he is in a standoff with police that ends up with him shooting himself. It's kind of like, I know there's a term for it, I don't know what it is, but it's like what we talk about a lot of times with these African Americans or blacks, whatever you want to call them, on traffic stops. Get pulled over. They've been convinced by the media that the cops are going to kill them on traffic stops. Their anxiety's ratcheted up. It gets the police's anxiety ratcheted up. And next thing you know, all hell's done broke loose because everybody's anxiety got ratcheted up over something that wasn't even a thing. Is that what happened with Barry? Did he will this into existence? My guess is yes. He willed this into existence. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends at Martin's Downtown and Martin's Livingston. Man, they got a lot coming up down there, but today it's a fried chicken Friday at Martin's Downtown and Martin's Livingston. So many other places got catfish. Martin says, hey, you know what? Why don't we do our own thing? Why don't we do fried chicken? And I believe it's a white meat, like quarter chicken. Man, it's good. Swing by there. Try that today. And, of course, don't forget that Martin's has got so much going on there, whether it's the Livingston location, whether it's the downtown Jackson location. They got concerts coming up out there at the Livingston location in that little chapel there that they use for special events. That's right, man. You can check them out at martinslivingstonms.com, martinslivingstonms.com. And let's see what's going on real quick. My phone is blowing up and it's messing me up here as I try to search. Let's see what's going on real quick at the downtown location. And don't forget the Blues Brothers, Jim Belushi, James Belushi. They're going to be there next weekend. Let's see here. If techno is your thing, they've got an event coming up on Friday, August 22nd. The Epic Funk Brass Band is going to be down there August 30th. But coming up a little sooner than that, you got Jim Belushi next weekend on August 8th, bringing the Blues Brothers show to Martin's with special guests Sherman Lee Dillon and the Bailey Brothers. That's Friday night, August 8th, presented by Southern Sky Brands. Man, that's going to be a big one. Jim Belushi at Martin's. Guys, don't miss out on that. That's once-in-a-lifetime type stuff there to see Jim Belushi in a cool venue like Martin's. They got the Blues Old Stand coming. That's August, what date is that? The flyer's August 9th, so that's next Saturday. You can check them all out, Martin's Downtown, JXN, or martinslivingstonms.com. But swing by today. Grab that fried chicken. Man, that sounds so good. Anyway. All right, man, let's jump back into it. A lot of polarizing opinions on this Barry Lowery stuff. Somebody called me a bootlicker in my picture of Sean Tyndall on Facebook. Said, you must be, I posted a picture of him, and somebody said, oh, you must be bootlicking after Lindsay's comments. Look, Lindsay's entitled to her comments, just like I'm entitled to mine. I just don't agree with them. At the end of the day. Ivana, she's entitled to her opinion. I just don't agree with it. Barry was entitled to his opinion. I don't agree with it. Everybody's entitled to theirs. I'm entitled to mine. People who call people bootlickers, those are those same people who do First Amendment audits and look like jackasses. They're the same people who can't keep their mouths shut on traffic stops and think that they have some sovereign citizen rights. Shut up. Bootlicker. You ever been to jail, son? Go to jail once or twice for not keeping your mouth shut. You'll learn to keep it shut. Bootlicker. Law-abiding citizen. You spelled it wrong. Y'all are idiots. Y'all be the first ones to buckle when the crap hits the fan. Running around here acting all tough. All sovereign citizen. Bunch of idiots. You really are. You really are. Let's see here. On the Guns and Gear, we'll just call it the Guns and Gear text line, but it's the chat this morning. Stephen Henson says, those are the people who immediately want a supervisor. They are, man. They're a bunch of Karens. I want to speak to a supervisor. Why? You get your ass kicked in front of the supervisor too? And look, I know I say that word a lot. I don't consider ass a cuss word, and neither does the FCC. So I'm just being honest with y'all. That is just a word. It's not a cuss word in my book. Welcome back to school, kids. Charles Boykin says good morning. Purtis Williams says we have to rebuild our strong communities and leave this independent mindset alone. A united community could have saved his and so many others' lives. The 1% has us right where they want us, defenseless and alone. Phil Barlow says, solar farms, windmill farms have never and will never lower consumer cost of electricity. Prove me wrong. I don't think they can, Phil. Stephen Henson on Facebook. Trying to convince everyone that someone is crazy is the first step, so that everything they say is taken with a grain of salt. He must have been over target. Barbershop Bob says, this one sounds like a conspiracy to me. And I'm reading some of these kind of backwards from the bottom up. So, look, it's sad what happened to Barry. It was probably preventable. And I think it probably started with a grain of truth. I think if he was married to Supreme Court Justice Kitchen's daughter and some stuff got sideways there, then it probably was. You know, he probably did sick the dogs on him somewhat to mess with him a little bit. And then my understanding was, if I got my timeline right, he started dating a trooper's ex-wife or something like that, and maybe that trooper was messing with him some. And, you know, look, we know that trooper or no trooper, you start messing with another man's ex-wife that he ain't happy about being his ex-wife, another man will do dumb man stuff. And when they're cops, they have been known to use that badge to do that stuff. Now, did that happen? I don't know. Does Barry think that happened? I believe so. Or did Barry think that happened? I believe so. You know, and it just goes back to what I said. You fly too close to the sun. You keep putting yourself in situations. And just some people just don't know when to shut up. Unfortunately. They just don't know when to shut up. And it gets them in bad situations. And Barry was probably a good guy. Best I can tell, he was a good guy. But it also feels like somebody who could never admit that maybe they were the problem. And they kept putting themselves in a situation with people who had more authority. And it's just this snowball effect. Like I say, it reminds me a lot of the Justin Fowler guy. And then it's like everything is 6 degrees of separation and everybody's interconnected somehow to be out to get them. Because maybe somebody has a mutual friend on Facebook with somebody, with 2 other people that were connected. So they must all be interconnected. And they're all out to get me. And that's what it sounds like happened here. And then he kind of willed it into existence. I mean, there's the picture of him standing out in front of that sign in front of DPS headquarters. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. And then he shoots himself. I feel sorry for the guy. I feel bad for his family. Mental health issues are real, and getting people committed is hard. And you see why. It's sad, man. It's just sad. I don't know any other way to say it. I really did want to end the show on a higher note and make fun of lefties over the Sydney Sweeney stuff. Maybe we'll have time to do it. I'll definitely do it during the break here online. We'll be right back to land the plane for the week. This is the Clay Edwards Show on a FAFO Friday. Swing by the website, buyfafo.com. Get a hat, get a shirt now. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we got a couple minutes here to kind of land the plane. LOL at lefties getting upset about a hot blonde chick, a white girl, doing a blue jean ad. Getting major, Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad is getting major backlash from liberals. Democrats are calling Sydney Sweeney and the company Nazi conspirators. Man, the left hates attractive Americans, don't they? I mean, they really do hate attractive Americans, especially white people. Beautiful white people, they just get triggered by them for some reason. You know, it's like we keep calling these ugly, unattractive lefties the unfortunates. It's for a reason. They just, unfortunately, the gene pool didn't do them any favors. And look, and I don't even think I'm an attractive person, but I ain't mad at attractive people. I mean, who am I kidding? Of course I'm attractive. I'm trying to be humble this morning. I'm trying to sound humble. I know I'm hot. But I mean, look, everybody can't be. So it is what it is. I'm logging in here to my X account because I want to play this video for y'all. Real quick of this lefty, this unhinged lefty, comparing Sydney Sweeney's blue jean commercial to the Aryan race and eugenics. These people are absolutely batshit crazy. It's pulling up here real quick, and we will get this going. I promise you, we will play this video today. How long is this? Let me check something real quick. How long are we going to have when we come back from the radio? Do we have enough time to end the show with this? We're going to come back and have just enough time to end the show with this. So I tell you what, that's what we're going to, screw it, man. We'll play it for you guys now. It ain't no point in trying to end the show with it. Let me check my timestamp here. All right, we got enough time. Let's play this now. This is an unhinged lefty losing it over a blue jean commercial with a hot white chick. Because lefties have nothing else to do except take their SSRIs and sit back and cry about hot white chicks. Make it make sense. You can't make crazy make sense. And that's kind of unfortunate, been the undertone of today's show in general. Here we go.
Did American Eagle just run an ad for eugenics?
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Totally just talking about denim, right? Just a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman explaining how her good genes gave her personality and purity. I mean, are we really going to pretend that this isn't a little fashy-coded? Look, I'm not saying that Sydney Sweeney personally wrote this ad to revive the Third Reich, but American Eagle absolutely knew what they were doing here. You don't get to drop lines about inherited traits, blue eyes, and great genes while zooming in on somebody that could have walked straight off of a Nazi propaganda poster and expect people not to catch that reference. Good genes used to mean racial purity in fascist circles, and now it's just denim marketing. We are watching fascist aesthetics sneak back into pop culture through fashion ads, trad wife influencers, and yes, now blue jeans. If you think this was an innocent ad, you have not been paying attention.
Stay woke, my. All right, guys, I want to end this with this video here. It's going to take us home for the week. Here's a crazy lefty losing it over a blue jean commercial.
Did American Eagle just run an ad for eugenics?
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Totally just talking about denim, right? Just a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman explaining how her good genes gave her personality and purity. I mean, are we really going to pretend that this isn't a little fashy-coded? Look, I'm not saying that Sydney Sweeney personally wrote this ad to revive the Third Reich, but American Eagle absolutely knew what they were doing here. You don't get to drop lines about inherited traits, blue eyes, and great genes while zooming in on somebody that could have walked straight off of a Nazi propaganda poster and expect...
All right, I'll see y'all on Monday. Bye.